serious? What occupation could an unskilled, uneducated person take up in order to provide a good, comfortable living for their family? I used to be a professional window washer. About 15 years ago. I made, on a bad day, $25 an hour. On a good day, about $95 an hour. It's cheap to start up and easy to maintain. Get yourself bonded and insured to be respectable. And you can easily get going for as little as $100 out of pocket for equipment. No degree or higher education needed. Look into sewers, not literally. If your local municipality, or some contractors, are hiring, then sewer inspection tends to have low entry requirements and a decent starting salary for the work involved. I've seen roundabouts $15 HR to start. Yeah. It's stinky and it's hardly prestigious. But it's undeniably useful and honest work. Also, sewer guys tend to be really chill. Edit. Looks I quoted low on the starting wage. People are saying nowadays it's over $20 HR in most places. HVAC is a good one. Lot of demand for help there. You start folding metal ducts, then learn furnace installation and repair on the job. Good money to start and very good money after 10 years. Where I live you at least need high school chemistry and physics to be considered for an HVAC apprenticeship. Not really a high bar. But not what I would consider uneducated either. Edit. I'm talking about the elective courses you take in 11th and 12th grade. Not 10th grade science. As others have mentioned, consider going into a trade. If you're made of strong stuff, I would suggest plumbing. Bonded plumbers are some of the highest paid tradesmen. And the earning potential is going to skyrocket over the next decade. Much like nursing. Or probably worse. The largest age demographic of plumbers is reaching retirement age and there are not even close to enough people going into the profession to replace them. I've got a friend who is a roofer and he pays guys $25 an hour as long as they'll show up for work and do the job. It's hard work and it's hot AF in the summer. But the pay's good. If you're a hard worker and willing to learn, any of the trades will be willing to take you on and teach you. Really. I know plenty of folks with just a high school degree that are food inspectors at the USDA. Start out as a grade 5, $35K a year, then you'll get to a grade 7, around $40K. And then you can get a promotion to a CSI and get bumped to a 9, around $50K. Plus whatever OT you get. Jobs are legit all over the country. Great insurance. A pension plus 401K, that's right, both. And you won't get fired unless you truly suck at being an employee. Overall, any federal government job you can get that doesn't require a secondary degree. Federal government is great. If you can get in. I started out in customer service at the IRS. Around $30K at 23 I was crushing it. When I left I was making about $59K a year. Still in same position with no degree needed. I'm now at a different government job making even more with no degree requirement. Essentially doing front office work, office manager. It's hard to get in though and only works out well if you're young or willing to take a pay cut to get your foot in the door. Advancement sucks once you hit the ceiling in your job. Waste management. 1. Trash dudes make good money. 2. Kids love the trucks. 3. Don't have to deal with people much. The work itself is extremely physically demanding though. Especially in winter. It's mostly done by contractors. So pay is lower than before. I recommend getting a route involving businesses. And not general households. Way less pickups. Easier on the body. I can't speak for other countries, but in America the post office. It requires a high school diploma and to pass a very easy test. You get decent pay that can easily support a family. Benefits. Guaranteed vacation time and the job is pretty cool. I have done most jobs in the USPS, but being a carrier is the best. I'm alone the entire time. I listen to podcasts while I deliver and being out in the weather is something I really look forward to. You'll start off as non-career, but depending on city size you can convert very quickly. I've always thought that being a mail carrier looked fun. How long does it take to go from a new hire to being a carrier? Did you have to work your way up to that position? Also, can you get away with having a bad back, or is carrying the huge sack of mail really cumbersome? My friend was a mail carrier for about 5 or 6 years, and although he worked his route 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, he was still considered part-time because the hours on paper were just under what they considered full-time. So he couldn't get benefits. He hung around for all those years hoping to land the coveted full-timer with benefits status as some of the older guys retired. But eventually he ended up having to take a second job at a retail store that was 2 PM 10 PM. On top of his Monday, Saturday mail carrier job. In order to get health insurance. He eventually left the mail carrier job, as it was not going anywhere for him. And he was burning himself out with basically 2 full-time jobs. This was about 10 years ago. In Massachusetts. Things may be better now. Or better in other areas. Close bracket. Cleaning up crime scenes pays well. Yes and no. I'm in the US. If you own your own business and set your own prices. Absolutely yes. But if you are hired onto a company, you're looking at around $35. 000 to $42. 000 a year. At least this was the case when I looked it up when I was living in Utah about a year ago. I'm quoting this very loosely here. The numbers were from one particular company. Roughly translated to about $14 an hour after taxes to deal with the emotional aspect of death. Gore and biohazards. I seriously considered it until I found out how little it pays at entry level. And I was blown away that I made more money than people who clean up guts. I wouldn't say my fiance was unskilled or uneducated. But he works as a forklift driver for a popular freight company making $28 an hour. May I ask? What company? I work in the same field and my pay is topped out at $22.10. I get time and a half after 40 hours. But I'm curious about better options. Contractors are struggling for tradesmen right now. My job is literally taking people right out of tech school or off the streets and teaching them sheet metal welding, pipe fitting. Job security is great and the pay grades are unbeatable by smaller shops. Start a little business. Tree trimming. Lawn work. Landscaping. My brother didn't go to college. Barely finished high school. Started helping neighbors with little jobs like that. We had a bunch of older people in the neighborhood and they knew he was a good person. Then he bought better mower. Then a truck. Started to branch out. Hired some people. Now he is doing very well and I am super proud of my younger brother. I hope he is more successful than me in the end because he has a heart of gold, unlike me. Don't know where you're at, but find a school for plumbers. Even in this pandemic. You're still gonna need hot water. They're never out of work. Make some damn good $sign. 2. Get in a trade union. They'll teach you. It can be rough at the start as you're the low guy on the list, but it will work out. How does being in a trade union get you a good job? I'm in a trade union because I already have a job in the union's industry, a crappy and low paying job, and I just want their protections and collective bargaining. A job that other people don't want to do. Like crime scene cleanup. After my roommate committed suicide by shotgun. It cost about $1,000 to clean up the mess. Not bad money for a day's work with a mop, a bucket and a strong stomach. Sorry about the loss. But you are not getting $1,000 for a death cleanup. Anywhere close. It was talked about elsewhere in this thread. But unless you're starting your own business, you're getting paid barely above minimum wage. My brother did this part-time. Got $11 an hour. Not worth the mental scars of seeing gruesome gore. Trades or military. Either way you won't be unskilled for long. My military certifications as a combat medic did not transfer over in the civilian world. They did that on purpose for retention reasons. So I had to start at square one to get back into medicine when I got out. I'm sure there are similar things in other mosses. Along the lines of trades people are recommending. Try the jewelry field. You can take online classes through the JIA, Gemological Institute of America, website and work at a jewelry store easily. You make good money. It's very low stress. Usually comes with benefits. And you work with beautiful things you can be proud to sell and be around. With lots of room for more education and therefore higher pay. Truck driver. Anything regarding your CDL. Honestly, I drive school buses, work part-time, and still make nearly $2k a month. If you work for county or state bus systems, you can make double that, plus overtime. If you're a safe driver, you'll always have a job. Railroads do on-the-job training and you can make a lot of money if you don't mind shifts. Was looking for this. I'm a conductor in Canada and a lot of people always bring up the hours. They can be brutal. But I sort of got the best of both worlds. We get 24 hours off after every trip and I live in a ski resort town, so I work one day on one day off in a ski resort town and make over 100k a year with benefits. Every 4 trips you get 2 days off. It really is awesome for a single guy with no kids. It's when you start to balance in a family that it becomes hard. I basically just live my life one day at a time with no plans. Post office. You have to have decent memory and that's it. I'll admit it's a job where the new employees are abused, but once you work your way to regular it's a great paying and stable job. I'll just note that if we are talking about in the United States, USPS is unionized and the wages are the same across the country. So if you are in a low cost of living area, then USPS wages will provide a significantly more comfortable lifestyle than in a high cost of living area. Also note that rural craft versus city craft have completely different wage and benefit structures. First aid. Not only do I know how to look after anybody if they hurt themselves, I'm also trained to treat children, which is beneficial when you have your own. The other part of this is that I get to work at some pretty awesome events, including, but not limited to, festivals, stock car races, and football, soccer, matches. And this isn't my main job either. Just a second one to help my paychecks get that little bit fatter, well worth looking into. People make decent money here holding the stop slow signs at roadworks. Get a ticket from TAFE and off you go. Flaggers we call them. In our state they make around $35 an hour to stand there and hold a sign. I think base pay is $15. But since it's a hazard they get a huge bump. Especially working on state interstate highways you get even more. General labor pays surprisingly well. I've got a cousin that lives up in Michigan and makes something like 50 grand a year working in a factory. The cost of living up there is so low that it's probably more like 80 grand a year anywhere else. He's 34 or 35 and has a paid off house. And his wife is a stay-at-home mom who substitute teaches a handful of times per year. Amazed I didn't see it. A welder pays well. You can usually learn on the job. Many companies have training programs for this. Acquire skills in MIG, TIG and stick welding. You can improve and become a shipyard welder or for skyscrapers, if you can handle heights. Some of this will be more automated in the future. But there's a lot that will not be. Construction also pays well. Some have programs to send you for training on the large equipment. It also depends where you live for comfortable living. Area about 45 minutes north of me is hiring $18 per hour at Uline. They make plastic bags and such. That's to start. Many make way more than that with end of year bonuses split between all employees, not just sales and management. At the end, look around in your area and see what you can find. There is always a job that will pay well. UPS. But only if you are okay with Big Brother watching you and long hours. Stay with it long enough and you get a pension. My husband got to retire at 50 working there. Whatever you choose, there are several ways to set yourself apart. Stay off drugs. There are lots of these sort of jobs where they are looking for warm bodies to train who almost just need to pass a drug test. Show up on time. If not early. Be neat in appearance. Learn basic personal financial skills, budgeting, saving, etc. Tank cleaner. There's companies that provide industrial cleaning services. Washing out storage tanks. You'd spend your work days in an enclosed steel tank with a pressure washer wearing rain gear and whatever PPE was required. The job isn't pleasant. But there's worse jobs. And the qualifications are pretty much know how to use a pressure washer and have a confined space entry course. Groundskeepers. I kinda stumbled into this position after losing my job as an insurance agent because of COVID and I was looking for any work. Not only do I make more money even after commissions, but I didn't need to pass any tests. Only needed a high school degree. And need to be somewhat active and lift 50 pounds. Also the benefits are great. I have weekends off and I'm home by 4. Health insurance is good. 401k. And I learned a lot of places give extra benefits to their groundskeeper. Like apartment complexes will give discounts on rent or colleges will waive you and your family's tuition. I've been a bartender for over a decade. No schooling needed and you can make over $1,000 a week with tips. The issue is finding full-time work. Most people only do a few shifts per week. The hours can also be terrible if you're in a relationship. But overall, I know a lot of bartenders with great family lives. I'd make $300 in an 8-hour shift sometimes. I've been propositioned for paid sex and one time a guy was going to try to kidnap me. But all in all I'd say it was worth it. It was an easy job. After paying $600 to have my small apartment painted, I'd say painting doesn't require much skill if you're slow and careful and pay attention to details. Guy ended up making about $75 an hour. And he could barely read. The guy the Koa recommended was even more expensive. Like a lot of people here are saying. Trade jobs, carpentry, wiring, plumbing, HVAC. My dad got out of high school and started working with my grandfather and learned a few things and it gave him 35 years of a job without a dollar spent in schooling. Also, car detailing, pressure washing driveways, homes, food delivery, Uber. I personally believe that anyone can be an X-ray tech. I am one. I've had some dumb classmates and they passed the boards. It's 2 years in school. You need to study and take good notes. If you get after it you'll be successful in anything you wanna do. But it isn't rocket science and you can make good money. Shipping jobs. Specifically freight companies. FedEx and UPS gives education for forklift drivers. And as long as they pass it, very easy, it starts at around $15 for part-timers and $18 for full-time. Both companies, last time I checked, will help pay for your college education as well. Air traffic control. Depending on location it can be a 6-figure salary. There is a cutoff of 31 years of age for the US to be hired. Only a high school education is necessary. I said this as well. Best kept secret. I never take any work home and I'm only working half of the time I'm there at most. That varies by facility though. Thank you so much for asking this question. I have some emotional disabilities and don't have a college degree. I'm also a very slow-paced worker. Not in shape. And I'm a small young woman. Finding a good paying full-time job that I'm decent at doing has been very difficult. Some of the suggestions in this thread sound like things worth checking out. I'm incredibly grateful. Flight attendant. In Europe you don't need more than high school and the companies give you their own training course. Bad news. At least in Europe. Usually it's a 6 months in 6 out contract. But if you don't live like Madonna, you should be able to save a bit for those 6 months out while you look for something else. Good news. If you work hard, you can get extension of your contract. If you work hard and they like you, they will promote you and give you a better contract. Worst news. COVID. Good luck. Wish you the best. If you live in an oil and gas state, Texas, Ohio, North South Dakota etc, look for a job on a rig. It's hard. Hard word, but I make around $40 an hour and I have an associate's degree. I started in IT support, changed into sales as a pre-sales consultant and shortly after was able to switch to being a solution architect. I used to study law before I admitted to myself that it wasn't for me, and apart from having used PCs for 2 decades, mostly gaming, a little web design and Photoshop, I had no prior qualifications. Was able to triple my salary within 2 years after I decided to move on from support.